Look at this world. This beautiful world. We built this world together. A world where dreams come true. A world where you can be free. But this world is a lie. This world deserves to die. Because this is your world. We've lived by your rules long enough. We can save this world. We can burn it to the ground, and from the ashes, build a new world. Our world.
Alright, y'all. What's good, y'all? You read the title of the video. You already know what time it is. It's about that time of the year. Good old Christmas time. Got that holiday cheer. And Hanukkah. And all the other December holidays. I don't even know. But anyways, what better way to celebrate the holidays than talking about all the possible ways the world could end? Sounds like a good time to me, to be honest. Today we're going to be doing this Doomsday iceberg. And yeah, let's just get right into this shit. Alright, so first off, in tier 1, we have climate change. And you could define climate as the average of weather over long time scales. And generally, in today's time, people are concerned about the rate of modern climate and human-caused climate change because if it happens quicker, then many organisms that can't adapt to the newer climate will die off and ecosystems may destabilize. And we also, as humans, have this huge problem with CO2 being emitted, raising the planet's temperature and changing the climate as sea levels rise. Many scientists attribute this to flooding, heat waves, more hurricanes, glaciers melting, droughts, wildfires, and dying animals, insects, and people. And scientists have predicted that the long-term effects of climate change will include a decrease in sea and ice, and an increase in heat waves and heavy rain and decreased water sources. So, I mean, overall, bad stuff. I don't think the climate will change drastically enough for my generation to die, but give it a couple generations down, they might be fucked. Alright, next up we got overpopulation, and yeah, we just reached 8 billion people in total population on Earth, so that's pretty cool. And this is just the concept of human population becoming too large to be sustained by the environment or resources in the long term. And yeah, you could see the arguments for this causing a doomsday, as people concerned by overpopulation argue that it results in a level of resource consumption that exceeds the environment's carrying capacity, and that eventually we will run out of resources. Yeah. In a world of finite resources, we don't have unlimited ones, so maybe something to think on the next time you're thinking about having a baby. Fuck them kids. No, I'm just kidding. Merry Christmas. Alright, next up we got asteroid impact. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. If the Earth got hit by an asteroid big enough, we could all fucking die. Ultimately, scientists estimate that an asteroid would have to be 96 kilometers or 60 miles wide to completely wipe out life on the planet. And for something to wipe out all evidence like of Earth, you would need an asteroid to be the size of the moon or Mars. Yeah. Alright, next up we have pandemic, and well, you know how that shit goes, bro. It's not fun. There's 6 different phases in a pandemic. I'm just gonna go through the phases. In phase 1, viruses circulating among animals have to be reported to cause infections on humans, and then in phase 2, the virus has to be known, like absolutely known, to cause infections on humans, and then is considered a potential pandemic threat. And then in phase 3, the virus has to be reported in small clusters of disease in people, but has not yet resulted in human-to-human transmission. And in phase 4, the virus becomes verified as being transmitted from human-to-human contact. And then in phase 5, the virus has to be spread to at least 2 countries in one WHO region. And then in phase 6, this is the pandemic phase. And this indicates a global pandemic is underway. We actually reached phase 5 during COVID. Y'all know what happened. That shit was not fun, bro. That was not fun. But yeah, that could potentially destroy human life on the planet. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Alright, next up we got Y2K. And I wasn't around for Y2K. I was actually born in the year 2000, but my parents have talked about it a couple of times. And basically what people thought was gonna happen is at the beginning of the year 2000, they thought that like all technology and computer software was gonna like completely fail, because many computer programs at the time were designed to abbreviate 4-year digits as 2 digits. So they thought that the computers, you know, they recognized 98 as 1998, but would be unable to recognize 00 as 2000. It would either interpret to mean 1900 or literally like 0 or whatever. and they thought like all the computers would just completely fail. And yeah, and there were literally like industries that were trying to solve like this Y2K problem. And I don't know, bro. I wasn't around, but it looks like people were like freaking out over this shit, when in reality, like nothing happened. And it'd be like that sometimes, I guess. All right, next up we got a zombie apocalypse, and of course we gotta have zombies in this. For a zombie outbreak to happen, you would like specifically have to have a virus that makes people do like zombie shit. That could be like insect parasites or rabies, but it's never been, none of these have ever been like close to the scale of the human mind. But if it happened, that's most likely what it would be. Infections would spread through the bloodstream from bites, scratches, maybe even airborne. The virus could be airborne. We don't know. Of course we don't fucking know. It's just whatever could fucking happen in this situation. Worst case scenario, a zombie virus airborne would literally be shit. Like most everyone would die. What types of zombies we're dealing with here? I mean, if they're Walking Dead zombies, you're in for a good time, you know? It might be kind of fun. But if it's like World War Z, that would be pretty shitty. Alright, next up we got nuclear war. And yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be great. In the event of a large-scale nuclear war, we'd probably all die. There's plenty of reasons, aside from the bombs. But mostly what happens afterwards, you'd get a lot of dust and ash in the air, and this is actually called a nuclear winter. The exchange of a nuclear event would cause multiple times the amount of dust and ash of all the volcanoes on the earth could produce, and ecosystems would collapse, and mass starvation would be guaranteed. You'd also have radioactive particles in the air, and ingesting the smallest dust speck of plutonium or cobalt, which is what's in these nuclear bombs, depending on what types, and the smallest speck of these in your lungs would cause internal burning at the location for the rest of your life, which would probably be about 5 minutes. Cause you die, my guy. Alright, next up we got pollution. And yeah, this is the process of making land, water, and other parts of the environment completely dirty and not safe or suitable to use or even live in. There's a handful of types of pollution. We could start off with land pollution, as land could be completely polluted by household garbage and industrial waste. And hundreds of millions of tons in solid waste is produced on Earth every year. Kind of sucks, but it'd be like that, I guess. We've got water pollution, and this is what happens when chemicals or dangerous foreign substances are introduced to water, including pesticides, fertilizers, agricultural runoff, sewage, or metals like lead and mercury. We also got air pollution, burning fossil fuels, man. You know how it is. You know how it goes. It's not good for the air, bro. I have asthma, bro. I have asthma. And you know whose fault it is? It's your fault. Look in the mirror. It's your fault. All right, next up we got supervolcano eruption, and yeah, it's one of the most common ones for this would be Yellowstone, and a lot of people believe that Yellowstone is actually overdue for an eruption. And if it did happen, there'd be like a huge significant impact on the world. We know this. Lava flows would destroy the Yellowstone National Park, and the ash from the volcano would be a huge problem, as it would cause infrastructure damage, ruin farmland, and cause health problems for humans and animals. And there would be like a brief, at least 10 years cooling effect on the entire global climate just from this fucking eruption, bro. All right, next up we got Mayan prophecy, and if you lived in 2012, you know how this went. The Mayan faith described the gods creating the first 3 failed worlds, followed by a successful 4th in which humanity was placed. And in the Maya log count, the previous world ended after roughly 5,125 years, and the long count's 0 date or starting date that was marked at the end of the 3rd world and the beginning of our current one corresponded to August 11th, 3114 BC, and this meant that the 4th world, or our world, would reach its end on the Maya date of 13.0000, or on the Gregorian calendar of December 21st, 2012. And yeah, that's basically it. It was suggested that the Armageddon would overtake the degenerate peoples of the world and all creation on the final day, and our universe would be annihilated. But yeah, it was supposed to happen in 2012. Maybe the count was off. I don't know. All right, next up we have alien invasion, and yeah, there are 3 really reasons why aliens would invade, I guess. The first being that they would invade over something they desire but don't need, like a valuable resource or commodity. And in this scenario, the invasion would be probably pre-planned and well coordinated, and of course they'd have to have some highly advanced technology that would guarantee we have 0 chance of victory. Second scenario would probably be out of desperation, and in this scenario they are attacking us because they need something from us to survive, like water, food, or air. And yeah, in this scenario, probably still little chance of survival. I mean, if aliens could get here, right, if they have the technology to get here, who says we have the technology to fight back, right? I mean, unless we magically, you know, figure out that one of their ships is like the hive mind or some shit, and we blow it up or some shit like in the fucking movies. And the third scenario would just be that they want to fucking kill us all, and that would suck, man. That would suck. All right, next up we got Ice Age, and technically we are in an Ice Age period, but if we were in like a true, you want to get real, if we went back to the last glacial maximum, we would probably die. We wouldn't survive very long. You could possibly survive underground with power being provided from solar panels, but food would be a big problem, because where are you gonna get it, pal? Where are you gonna get it, bud? Everything would be ice, my guy. All right, next up we have volcanic winter. We talked a little about this. It's caused by volcanic ash and droplets of sulfuric acid and water obscuring the sun, and this mainly occurs after a explosive volcanic eruption. And yeah, there was actually in history a volcanic winter in 536. Millions of people died. It caused crop failures, famine, and it was not good. All right, next up we have solar engulfing, and yeah, roughly 5 billion years from now, the sun will exhaust the hydrogen fuel in its core and will start burning helium, and this will force its transition into a red giant star. And now this isn't what happens to every star, but we know this will most likely happen to the sun based off its mass. During its shift, the atmosphere will expand to somewhere around that 1 astronomical unit, and this means that the sun will gradually engulf Mercury, Venus, and Earth, and any surviving Earthlings hopefully will be gone from the Earth. We got 5 billion years before this happens, alright? But yeah, it will happen. Like, this is like something without a doubt. that will happen. Yeah, but we got a little while. That's fine. All right, next up we got tier 2. Cool. And first off, we got gamma ray burst. And in astronomy, a gamma ray burst is an immensely energetic explosion that have been observed in different galaxies. They could last from 10 milliseconds to several hours, and after an initial flash of gamma rays, a longer-lived afterglow is usually emitted at longer wavelengths. It's been concluded by scientists that a gamma ray burst within about 10,000 light years directly hitting the Earth can trigger a mass extinction event. Not only would we have to worry about radiation if we were even alive, but the ozone would be broken down and the sun's UV rays would reach the ground, and yeah, all this sunlight would trigger a global cooling event, and not to mention the acid rain that we'd get. So yeah, it'd be shitty. We'd die. All right, so we got societal collapse, and this is, it's just the fall of a complex human society characterized by the loss of cultural identity and of socioeconomic complexity, leading to the downfall of a government and the rise of violence. Possible causes of a societal collapse would include natural catastrophe, war, famine, economic collapse, population decline, and mass migration. Yeah, all these events could possibly lead to a societal collapse, and society would revert to a more primitive state, be absorbed into a stronger society, or completely disappear. Alright, next up we got terrorists, and literally the only thing I could think about terrorists causing doomsday is if they got access to nuclear devices, or if they disrupted the government so badly that it caused a societal collapse. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, terrorists. Bad. Next up, we got singularity, or a black hole. It's a black hole, man. It's extremely unlikely to happen, the Earth getting sucked up by a black hole, but it could. And if it happened, I guess we'd all just get sucked up together. Next up, we got biotech disaster. And yeah, the main concept of biotechnology encompasses a wide range of procedures for modifying living organisms according to human purposes, and especially genetic engineering, as well as tissue culture technologies. And yeah, this is really just any scenario where this could go wrong. Maybe you make a hybrid COVID monkeypox disease on accident or some shit. Alright, next up we got the rapture, or the Christian Judgment Day. And this is a position held by some Christians, particularly those of American evangelicalism, consisting of an end-time event when all Christian believers who are alive, along with resurrected believers, will rise into the clouds to meet with the Lord, leaving all the heathens to die on earth in hellfire. Sounds pretty dope, to be honest. Alright, next up we got simulation gets turned off. This insinuates that we are in fact not real at all, just living in a simulation, leading to an outside source or random event that leads to the simulation being turned off and the deletion of our existence. Alright, next up we got flood basalt, and this is about highly fluid basalt lava that could spread laterally for hundreds of kilometers from its source vents, covering areas of tens of thousands of square kilometers. And if this were to happen, we'd be boned. We'd be completely boned. Alright, next up we got financial collapse, and yeah, literally money, something that's not real to begin with and only exists because our faith in the economy is so strong. Thank God. If its worth was zero, nothing, in an instant, what the fuck would we do, right? I don't think anyone would know what to do with themselves. We'd go completely bonkers. Either that, or we just transcend above existence. Alright, next up we got a man-made black hole, and yeah, you heard it first. A black hole, man-made. Even though it requires massive amounts of mass to be compressed really tight, it's considered impossible. But if they did, we'd all be sucked up, man, together again. Alright, next up we got tier 3. And the first off, we have impotence. Impotence, also you could call it erectile dysfunction, occurs when a man can't get or keep an erection firm enough for sexual intercourse. Yes. It'd be pretty bad if this occurred on a global scale. In this case, humans would no longer be able to make babies. Alright, next up we got Grey Goo. Pretty sure we talked about this one. This is a hypothetical global catastrophic scenario involving a molecular nanotechnology in which out of control self-replicating machines consume all biomass on Earth while building many more of themselves. Yes. Alright, next up we got planetary alignment, and this refers to the theory that the planets aligning could throw off the Earth's orbit and send it into space. That'd actually be pretty funny, bro. Yeah, probably not, but like, think about it. Like, picture the Earth just fucking floating around in space. Oh man. Alright, next up we got Andromeda Galaxy. Listen to this. So our Milky Way is around the 100,000 light years wide, and there's this other galaxy called the Andromeda Galaxy, and it's around 200,000 light years wide, and it's apparently coming towards our galaxy, and yes, they will collide. According to scientists, in 4 billion years, the Andromeda Galaxy will collide with the Milky Way. So yeah, that'd be cool. That's gonna be cool. Man, I wish I could see that. Damn. Alright, next up we got universal heat death. Yeah, this is the main scientific theory on how the universe is going to come to an end. It's basically just entropy. The universe collapses in the complete entropy, which is defined as the quantity of chaos in a specific space, and as entropy increases, the universe will evolve into a state of thermodynamic free energy and will be unable to sustain processes that increase entropy and just whew, gone. Pretty cool. Alright, next up we got the Big Crunch. And this is also one of the possibilities that scientists theorize could happen to the universe when it comes to an end. And after stretching, as you know, the universe is constantly expanding. After stretching out so much, the universe will contract into a singularity, a giant black hole. That's so fucking cool, man. Man, I want to see that. All right, next up we have Qiyamah and Al-Qiyamah, or the resurrection. In Arabic is the Islamic judgment day, in which depending on the verdict of judgment, you will be sent for eternity to either the reward of paradise, Jannah, or the punishment of hell. Yes, and in the process, souls will traverse over hellfire via the bridge of Sirat, and for sinners, the bridge will be thinner than hair and sharper than the sharpest sword, and impossible to walk on without falling, while the righteous will proceed across the bridge to paradise, or Jannah. Next up we got supernova, and this is a supernova is a powerful and luminous explosion of a star. It's pretty beautiful, actually. It's really sad though, because I mean, it's like a star, man. It dies, but it's pretty. If a supernova explosion were to occur within about 25 light years of Earth, our planet would lose its atmosphere and all life would perish. However, thankfully, astronomers have not found any dangerous supernova candidates in our cosmic surroundings, so we're good. We're chilling. Alright, next up we got the Nibiru cataclysm, and we've talked about this, man. This is a conspiracy theory about a potential 9th planet in our solar system, or a black dwarf, or like a very small star that could affect orbits in the solar system and is messing with a lot of bullshit. And believers in this Doomsday event usually refer to this object as Nibiru, or Planet X. And yeah, man, we talked about this shit, bro. Anyone interested in the conspiracy theories type shit, you should watch the Conspiracy Theory Iceberg. Shameless plug. Next up, we got food chain collapse. Food chain is low-key kind of fragile, man. If one species in the food web ceases to exist, one or more of the other members in the rest of the food chain could also cease to exist as well. Interrelationships within a food web can be so intricate that a chain of disruptive events can occur when one ecosystem component changes. Polar bears, for example, they rely on seals for food. The seal population may decline if Arctic cod, also a food supply for seals dwindles or is overfished. Cod eat zooplankton, and zooplankton eat ice algae. You see where I'm going with this? Zooplankton would increase, ice algae would decrease, creating an effect that reduces the polar bear population. You know how it fucking goes. It's a fucking loop. We learned this shit in middle school, man. Come on, you're with me here. I know you're with me. Come on, move. Let's move on. Let's move on. All right, next up we got the Big Rip, and the Big Rip is a hypothetical cosmological model concerning the ultimate fate of the universe, in which the matter of the universe, from stars and galaxies to atoms and subatomic particles, even space-time itself, is progressively torn apart by the expansion of the universe at a certain time in the future. Because we talked about this, how the universe is always, it's constantly expanding. This is the theory that near the end of this expansion, the universe rips apart. Boom, like that. All right, next up we got tier 4. Let's do it. First off, we have moon leaves orbit. The minimum length the moon moves away is like 3 centimeters each year, and it will eventually leave the Earth's orbit in a long time though. But if the moon disappeared right now, it would lead to huge tsunamis and a lot of other things, because there's a lot of shit that the moon cycle regulates here. Same thing with plants and animals. So low-key, we might be kind of fucked. All right, next up we got Ragnarok, and this is the form of Judgment Day in Norse mythology. And basically, the first wolves who chase the sun and moon will catch their prey and eat them, leaving the world completely dark. And during this time, there will be many wars amongst humans, and brother and sister will kill each other and commit acts of incest, leaving only Leif and Leifthrassir, a man and a woman, who survive. And this will all happen on Midgard. Basically, between the gods, there would be a huge war. Odin will be eaten by Fenrir, and Odin's son, Vidar, will kill Fenrir. Heimdall and Loki will kill each other. Thor will slay the Midgard serpent and then walk 9 paces before dying to its venom. Surtur will be cut down, and everyone dies. Everyone will fucking die. Yeah, pretty beautifully written in your mythology to have all the gods kill each other in the end. It's pretty dope. All right, next up we got cyborg assimilation, and I believe this means we'll get to a point where humans are modifying the body so much that we become more robot than human. Yeah, I think. All right, next up we got environmental toxins, and basically this includes poisonous chemicals and chemical compounds. For example, you can include industrial waste products and pesticides, carcinogens, and yeah, it's too much of these like environmental pollutants can be bad for our health. Pretty bad. All right, next up we got Nemesis star, and this refers to a theory that the sun is being orbited by a brown dwarf star that is called Nemesis, and this star would explain mass extinctions that occur once every 26 million years, and the theory actually shows promise that with excess extinctions in a 26 to 27 million year rate being discovered over the last 500 million years. However, the star itself was never actually found. La Palma mega tsunami. Alright, so the island of La Palma, the Canary Islands, is under risk of undergoing a large landslide, which could cause a tsunami in the Atlantic Ocean. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Be like that. Alright, next up we have electromagnetic pulse, and electromagnetic pulse, or EMP, is a short burst of electromagnetic energy that naturally occur in space, or we could make them, you know how it goes. But one of these on a global scale would wipe out all technology and could potentially be catastrophic. Alright, next up we have magnetic field shift, and this is something that will most likely not happen, but it's said that the magnetic field of the Earth will be inverted, leading to Earth's magnetic field to disappear, exposing us to every harmful ray that the sun sends to us permanently. And yeah, we'd be fucking dead. Alright, next up we got solidifying core, and this is if the Earth's core ever solidifies, our planet would be die. Not even us, our planet. Yeah, the magnetic field would go away and life would be no more. All right, next up we got mass insanity. And we've talked about mass hysteria. You can't really equate insanity to hysteria, I guess, especially on a massive scale, but this is basically just that. Yeah, this would be the rapid spread of signs and symptoms of insanity on a global scale throughout humans. And that would not be good, as you can imagine. People would be absolutely insane. It would probably be like low-key, like Stay With Me. It could be like Alice in Wonderland. Yo, that might be kind of fun, low-key. All right, next up we got tier 5. And first off we have mass suicide. Can't say that word, but you get the idea, right? I mean, come on. All right, next up we have assimilation with alien race. And this is about any alien species that has the ability to absorb genetic material from other organisms in order to maintain their species and invade others, either by absorption, injection, or parasites. Yes. All right, next up we got objects from the Kuiper belt. So there's a belt in our solar system composed by a lot of objects of various sizes, from big rocks or objects that are bigger than Pluto itself. And if one of those came towards Earth, we'd go dead. Next up we got anti-natalism, and to keep it simple, natalism is the belief that promotes the reproduction of human life. If you hold the view that humans should reproduce and make babies, you're a natalist. Now anti-natalism is like, no, fuck it, we're done. You get the idea. If everyone was anti-natalist, we would no longer reproduce. All right, next up we got moon gets destroyed. Basically the same as the moon leaving its orbit, only this time we'd have hella debris coming right towards Earth. So that'd be cool. All right, next up we got Shinrikyo cult. And this is a Japanese sect that did the terrorist attacks in Tokyo subways and other things. And however, their leader was arrested and eventually executed. And this maintains the idea that they could still be operating in the shadows, preparing attacks on a global scale. All right, next up we got a hypercane, and this is the hypothetical class of extreme tropical cyclone that could form if sea surface temperatures reached approximately 122 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 27 degrees warmer than the warmest ocean. So such an increase could be caused by a large asteroid or common impact, supervolcano, climate change, or flood basalt. But yeah, it could happen. One day. Yeah, one day for sure, yeah. All right, next up we got Earth changes, and this is a term coined by Edgar Cayce, who's a psychic, and refers to the belief that the world would soon go through cataclysmic events. And what's interesting is that this conspiracy theory includes things such as Atlantis rising from the floor, and incorporates events like the melting of the polar caps and very big earthquakes that have actually happened and are attributed to climate change. Yeah, good looks, Edgar, good looks. All right, next up we got tier 6, and first off we have kinetic orbital strike. And this is a concept from the Cold War where a surface on the Earth will be bombarded with objects, and the destructiveness of this would come from the fact that the objects that hit the Earth are built in a way that maximizes velocity so that they cannot be defended against. Next up we have GM crops, and many GMO crops are used to make ingredients that Americans eat, like cornstarch, corn syrup, corn oil, soybean oil, canola oil. There's a lot of GMOs that are used in foods. I don't know. This could go wrong, I guess. Like, what if they put a little bit of COVID, like a little bit, a teensy bit of COVID monkeypox strain? I don't fucking know. You get the idea. Next up, we got Y chromosome extinction. And this is the idea that, well, let me explain first. The Y chromosome is one of the 2 sex chromosomes in humans. The other is the X one. And the sex chromosomes form one of the 23 pairs of human chromosomes in each cell. And the Y chromosome contains the male determining gene, or the SRY gene, that causes testicles to form in the embryo. And this results in development of external and internal male genitalia. If you have any mutation in the SRY gene, or don't have one at all, the embryo will develop female genitalia. So yeah, without those, well, no more babies. All right, next up we got Heaven's Gate occultism. And we talked about Heaven's Gate before, but if you're not familiar with them, they were the American religious cult founded in 1974. And yeah, basically, they believed that they would be biologically and chemically transformed into extraterrestrial beings upon their deaths and transported with their bodies aboard a spacecraft that would come to Earth and take the crew to heaven, referred to as the next level. The group committed a mass suicide, and I guess the reason why it's on this iceberg is because I guess what if they were right? Maybe, I don't know. They believe that evil space aliens called Luciferians falsely represented themselves to Earthlings as quote unquote God and conspired to keep humans from developing. So yeah. Alright, next up we got Cthulhu Armageddon, and this is actually a book, and it's based on the idea that in the future, the old gods, along with Cthulhu, would return and battle and create havoc and basically lay waste to the earth and eradicate humans. Lovecraft, man, he's got some nice ideas. Alright, next up we got Giant Molecular Clouds, and this is basically about a nebula, and if the Earth ever ended up on collision course with a nebula, it would be pretty bad. We'd fucking die. Alright, next up we got Gliese 710, and this is a red dwarf star that is projected to come close to Earth in 1.4 million years. And it's probably not going to hit Earth, but the real danger comes from the fact that it will lead millions of objects from the Oort cloud into our solar system and potentially put the Earth in danger with collision from some of these objects. So yeah, 1.4 million years. Y'all have fun with that shit. But me and the people right here, well, what is it, 2022? Hey, we're chilling. Alright, next up we got Blood Moon Prophecy, and basically there's a lot of people that believe that blood moons are, I mean, they actually exist. They're lunar eclipses, but some people believe that these are like they're prophecies, and blood moons point out the beginning of the end of times. Alright, finished up with that tier. Let's move on. Next up we got tier 7. And first off we got the vacuum chain reaction. And this is a theory. It says that if we were to use quantum particles as an energy source without fully understanding it, we would just end up blowing everything up because of the amount of energy we get from there is just too much. Don't ever try to make a black hole in the future, please. Okay. Next up we got false vacuum decays, and false vacuums are regions of space that appear to be stable but could collapse at any moment. Alright, next up we got Verneshot, and this is a hypothetical volcanic eruption event caused by the buildup of gas deep underneath a craton. This event would be forceful enough to launch an extreme amount of material from the crust and mantle into suborbital trajectory, leading to significant further damage after the material crashes back down to the surface. It's proposed that Verneshot was an alternate explanation for the Tunguska event, but either way, this would be an extinction level event, big bro. Alright, next up we have eternal hibernation, and this refers to the theory that if the human race stays around for long enough, we would have to make very drastic changes to our way of living. For example, a long time from now, when most of the stars have burned out and all the galaxies are very far apart from each other, energy in the entire universe would become very scarce, with us needing to drastically reduce our intake. Another thing that will inevitably happen is when the universe becomes extremely cold and humans will have no other way of surviving, and we'll have to completely change our bodies, and they would probably do this by implanting machine parts into our bodies. And while this would work for a little while, it would not be enough in the long term, and the temperature in the universe would drop so low that physical organisms cannot function anymore without losing complexity. So at this point, we would have to hibernate in order to stay functional. At this point, if we ever reached it, we're talking billions and billions and billions and billions of years here. This could be solved by transporting our consciousness into some sort of digital cloud while the universe is literally falling apart. And yeah, our bodies would practically be kept in eternal hibernation. All right, next up we got cobalt bomb, and this is a type of salted bomb, quote unquote. And it's a nuclear weapon designed to produce the enhanced amount of radioactive fallout intended to contaminate a large area with radioactive material, potentially for the purpose of radiological warfare. And the concept was actually originally described by physicist Leo Szilard in 1950, and his intent was not to propose that such a weapon be built, but to show that nuclear weapon technology would soon reach a point where it could end human life on Earth. In other words, a doomsday device. All right, next up we got mutually assured destruction, and this refers to a military strategy where 2 or more sides completely annihilate each other using nuclear weapons. Yeah, this would be very catastrophic. It'd be bad. It'd be bad, bro. All right, next up we got quantum vacuum collapse. Basically, our universe is ruled by a subatomic particle called the Higgs boson, and if this particle ever becomes unstable, a chain reaction will happen and the universe will collapse faster than light speed. Like that. Gone. Just like that. Literally. Alright, moving on. Next up we got tier 8. This is fun. You guys having fun? I am. First off, we have the Big Crumble, and this refers to the theory that after a long time, a very long time, atoms, protons, and photons will become completely unstable and eventually dissolve. So eventually nothing, not even any atoms, would be left. Just nothing at all. Nothing. All right, next up we got Ice 9 type transition, and this is a fictional excerpt about scientists using a particle accelerator who create a tiny bit of strange matter that pops into existence, and it has like a negative charge, and it eventually consumes all positively charged atomic nuclei it encounters, and it forms more strange matter. And then the blob grows and grows and grows, eating the accelerator and everything around it, and the Earth becomes a complete strange matter planet. Alright, next up we got anoxic event, and this is a theory that all life on Earth could end during an anoxic event where the oceans on the Earth is depleted of its natural oxygen reserves, thus forming toxic sulfuric waters. These events haven't happened in a few million years, but every time they do, they cause the mass extinctions of marine organisms and are pretty dangerous overall. Alright, next up we got ZK class universe reset, and primary definition of this is reality fundamentally being broken or eliminated, usually due to physics stuff or an SCP that completely annihilates everything by nature. I found an example, SCP -001, which is defined as a ZK class reality failure scenario, and yeah, basically all that it says about it is the only observable symptom of this SCP is that the sky starts becoming a different color, and yeah, reality failure. Next up we got Kalki, and this refers to the Hindu prophecy that Kalki, a reincarnation of the god Vishnu, will come to the earth and save us from the endless cycle of reincarnation by destroying this earth and thus ending the time period of Kali Yuga, which is the period we are currently trapped in. Alright, next up we got tier 9. First off, we got Zoroastrianic prophecies, and Zoroastrianism is an Iranian religion and one of the world's oldest organized faiths. And basically, the Judgment Day states that at the end of this third time, there will be a resurrection of the earth, and all mankind, both the living and the resurrected dead, will be required to wade through this giant river after everything melts. And the river will flow down to hell, where it will annihilate the last vestiges of wickedness in the universe. And this river of molten metal will purify the wicked. Yeah, it's an interesting one. You should probably research this one. It's a lot. Alright, next up we got total existence failure. And this is basically the concept that the properties of whatever makes up quote unquote existence begins to falter, and everything just ceases to exist. Define existence to me and tell me how you know you exist. It's a bit trippy, yeah. Alright, next up you got tier 10. The only one in this one is the 9 billion names of God. And according to this specific Tibetan belief, when all 9 billion names of God have been discovered and then recorded within the sacred books, history will come to an end, because the natural world will have fulfilled its purpose of revealing all facets of God. So there was this book, or this short story really, and this Tibetan monastery is asked to get this automatic sequence computer that works with numbers, and they ask this doctor if they can replace the numbers with letters, and they start compiling these names of God using the supercomputer, right? And it takes a couple months, But eventually, the computer finishes writing out all the names of God, and at the end, they look into the sky, and the stars begin to disappear. And yeah, that's basically it. Those are all the ways that Earth or our existence could come to an end. Well, it's not all the ways, but it's a good handful. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Happy holidays, man. Go like drink some hot chocolate and shit. Spend some time with your family. And honestly, if you're alive at the same time as me right now, you probably don't have to worry about any of this shit. We're big chilling. You and me, bro. Again, hope you enjoyed. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.